first quarter. Now we in the fourth quarter, man.
Welcome back to the fourth quarter. Nice day outside in New York City. Sirens are blazing, kind of the equivalent to birds chirping in the suburbs and elsewhere. But I feel good. It woke me up.
Yeah, it kept me up at night, honestly, because Knicks won last night. We're recording this on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Big W. You know, they've been undefeated the past 12, 13 games, and seems like the Atlanta Hawks are the only ones who can beat them.
That's true. They just stole a game against the Spurs in the NBA Finals against the San Antonio Spurs. We were both grinding for the podcast preparation last night, and you knocked on my door, and you were like, "Yo, you got to come watch this. You got to see the
last 6 minutes were insane. Jalen Brunson is unbelievably clutch. Pablo's, putting the sirens because he's a big Knicks fan.
Yeah, he was saying we toned it down from all the commotion that we've had against the Knicks. So.
Yeah, I mean, Hawks-Knicks series.
Yesterday.
It's not a good time. It's probably not a safe time to be anti-Knicks in the city.
Oh,
so, not that we are, but we're
You just got to walk around and say Knicks and 6.
Yeah, Knicks and 6. All right. Well, fair. In one of our ViewTube videos last week, we had a comment from I Am Thaja7 saying, "I'm from India. For years, I've waited for content like this. I appreciate you guys." I didn't realize our content hit an entire subcontinent. I didn't even realize it hit India. I just thought it was in our small bubble in the sports business space here in the U.S.
Yeah, you would think that it's just the U.S. or even New York City, but fourth quarter going international.
Cultural zeitgeist for sure in India, I guess, but I think that's possibly because our clips have been doing really well on socials. We just hit over 1 million in the last few days. A little over, I think, close to 2 weeks now, right? We hit 1 million on Instagram alone.
Yeah, I know. It's been kind of a wild ride because we've been posting on Instagram for a while. A lot of clips covering, the basics of sports business or any interesting topics that, we find compelling. But it seems like people have been really enjoying the clips content. So we're going to keep churning them out. And then hopefully, when we go live with the show, you'll see it on our Instagram page that we've gone live.
Yeah, a lot of traction as of recent. And I think that's been expediting a lot of reach as well on the show. But I think we've just been, doing well and keep churning this out. But we have a pretty interesting story today because it does involve international relations and geopolitics with arguably the largest basketball player right now, and definitely the greatest shooter of all time. So I was trying to practice my cold opening in Chinese, but I was butchering it, and producer Pablo was like, "Nah, axe it." So I'm waiting until I can actually pronounce it properly, and then I'll do it in a different language.
Honestly, we probably gotta have to take a few Duolingo classes before we can
shout out
Duolingo.
I guess I've never used it. Have you ever used it?
I've never used it, but I don't know. At some point in time, I feel like I gotta culture myself, learn a few languages.
Yeah, I only want to know how to say "welcome to the fourth quarter" in different languages, so I can do a different cold open each time. Jumping right in, the headline story: Steph Curry just broke the world of sports. He signed a 10-year deal with a Chinese brand called Li-Ning after his divorce in November of last year from Under Armour after a long stint. He didn't sign with Nike. He didn't sign with Adidas. He didn't sign with any of the major North American brands or European brands. He went straight to China. It's very interesting. He signed it for $400 million over 10 years. And the weirdest part of all this is that a Chinese brand that's actually banned from imports in the U.S. Isn't that wild?
So what's the context behind why they got banned?
So there is supposedly in their supply chain, some child labor or labor standards that don't meet the U.S. lawmaking standard. And because they don't pass that proof of, was this produced ethically?
Right.
They're banned by the Custom in Border Patrol.
Gotcha. So this is like a pure international play. I'm guessing that they're probably going to have some way of getting around that law. Maybe it's I know it's going to be operating under the Curry brand itself, so it's going to be essentially a subdivision within Li-Ning. I think that could create an opportunity where you can actually build out some retail footprint and exposure into the U.S. as well. But I do see this as an interesting growth opportunity.
I agree. So just for some more context, the partnership with Li-Ning starts with basketball and then extends into golf and lifestyle because Curry himself is a big golf player. He won the 2023 American Century Championship. It's like a marquee celebrity tournament.
Yeah, he hit a hole in one too.
Yeah,
hole in one.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That was crazy. And then he, like you mentioned, plans to open brands under the Curry brand in China, but then also expand into the US, which is a little contradictory because of the imports ban. So they didn't address that. So.
Yeah, maybe they have like different manufacturing standards with Curry brand. Obviously, like it's probably like it's a subsidiary within the holdco, and at the same time, labor standards might be different for Curry's brand versus Li-Ning's.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like kind of a way to bypass that and then build out footprint in the US.
Yeah, and Curry is able to sign athletes to his Curry brand, so which is really
that's
interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
And I want to ask later why or who you think might be a good fit. But basically, reports say why Steph Curry turned down these bigger brands. He actually even turned down a bigger check from a large player. So it wasn't all about money. He was basically in a season, like he was in a free agency stretch for his sneaker deal for a few months, and he was trying out all different types of shoes. I don't know if you saw this, but he was even warming up in Roger Federer's On Clouds tennis shoes on the basketball court.
Okay.
It was so cool. I was like, oh my God, I just want to buy those just for the basketball court. But he didn't play in them. He warmed up in them. He was wearing Nikes. He wore the Mambacitas, the Kobe 6s. And basically, he was also trying out Li-Ning's shoes with signature athletes, Jimmy Butler, and then D Wade, of course, who made Li-Ning kind of brought it to the basketball scene here in the States. And he basically said that Li-Ning's shoes were the most comfortable, and he likes the design, the feel, the vision, and he wanted to partner with them. And it's interesting. Under Armour was on a decline share price wise. China is on the up and coming in terms of the basketball scene. It's the second largest basketball market, has 300 million fans and basketball players / fans. And Nike's sales keep collapsing in China. They're down 20% over the past 4 years.
Yeah, because Chinese brands are the ones that are exploding, and they also have some sort of, it's like similar to how like US has like American dynamism. That's like the big standard when it comes to like tech, products, manufacturing, etc. China's probably experienced the same thing with consumer brands because they've been buying a lot from the US stylistically, but now they're seeing brands like Anta and Li-Ning that are now on the come up at the same time are able to sign marquee NBA athletes. We saw that with, when Kyrie got ousted from Nike, he signed with Anta and then became a chief creative officer and like essentially creative director for Anta basketball. And so when you get these marquee players, and Li-Ning has had that experience with Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, although none of them have actually gone to the extent of, what the Kyries did and with the Nike brand, I think there's real potential with Curry. Now, here's the way that I look at this. I think what I've heard, rumors had it that he actually got offered more money from a major North American / European brand. We don't know which one it is, but he decided not to go with that. And I feel like there's a few reasons why. In a lot of these major footwear brands that are in basketball, it's very easy for you to be overshadowed by other players that are like marquee assets, right? Like, yes, you can sign with Nike, you can sign with Jordan, but at the same time, you'll always be overclouded by the LeBrons of the world, right? By KD, by Kobe, because they've established that footprint because they've been with the brand for so long.
That's true.
Curry doesn't have that luxury, right? He would have to build that brand within Nike, maybe, or Adidas, but maybe they wouldn't give the amount of power that he wanted when it comes to building out his own brand and his own product, right? Like exactly. Nike has Jordan, but Nike doesn't have like a LeBron subsidiary, right? That's what Steph Curry probably wants. And so he sees a massive growth opportunity within China. At the same time, Li-Ning doesn't have a golf arm. So he can build out his own golf apparel. And at the same time, if he can sign athletes as well, doesn't have to just be basketball players. It can be golf players too. Golf players that want to have greater exposure in China because golf is exploding as
golf
a sport
is booming in China.
Too.
Yeah, and I think it's also a little telling, one, from the market POV, why you go to China. Under Armour, so supposedly how this happened or why the divorce or one of the main reasons, even though Steph has publicly come out and said it was like an amicable split, he basically said some sites have said that the Curry team were unhappy with the underinvestment of a declining kind of a stock that was on the decline, and therefore Under Armour couldn't invest as much as they would wanted to or like to within the Curry brand. And I think this move to Li-Ning is with the ability to expand to golf, to lifestyle and stuff outside of just basketball, the ability to sign as well. He wanted a builder type role, not just an endorser, right? You said Kyrie. We've talked about this before. some more clips have gone viral over this because it's a big point of contention on socials. But, Jaylen Brown turned down over $50 million in endorsement deals to launch his own brand 741, right? Shea, SGA, signed a deal with Converse when it was nearing its end to re-sign, becoming the director of creative control or creative director for Converse basketball with a signature line. So he has creative input. Kyrie Irving, like you mentioned, he's a chief creative officer of Anta. So I think this is a trend we're going to see. Steph Curry also was co-building and co-partnering with Google on Fitbit Air. I think this is Curry's brand. He is a superstar. He's in the Bay, so I'm sure he has access to a bunch of tech stuff and deals and companies. But when you're the largest player in the world, I don't think you just need to be a walking billboard for other people. You want to co-create, build your legacy off the court, and I think this was a move to do that.
Yeah, and I think just if you look at the footwear brands, like I don't think Nike would be like, hey, look, we're going to have Jordan and Curry brand. I don't think he was getting look, I don't have the insider tea, but my guess is that he probably didn't get that much extension that Li-Ning is willing to give. And I think you just got to make a global play, right? It's like, hey, look, like why not just take over a market that is looking for a marquee player that at the same time, like Kyrie's big, but the Kyries were really big in the US. I would have to look at the numbers in regards to how Kyries are doing and China. But Steph Curry's an extremely popular player worldwide. He's the greatest shooter of all time. And what's really great about him is that you can relate to him. He's only, 6'2", 6'1", 6'2".
He's the greatest shooter of all time. I don't know how much you can relate to him. But
no, but what I'm saying is, like, he's not like a 6'8", like LeBron, like freak athleticism, right? Like, that type of things, that type of features resonates with a lot of people. And so I think that can go really long in China.
I think he changed the game of basketball. Now everyone that you see, even the youth, the highlight clips that you're seeing, they're just, like, throwing up crazy threes.
That's true.
It's like he changed the game. It used to be very in the paint, donks, layup packages. Now it's beyond the arc, which is really interesting.
So I know you were going to ask me this, but I'm going to flip it back to you. Who do you think should sign under Curry brand? It could be a golf player, basketball player.
You actually put me on the spot on this. Producer Pablo, I might need your help, but I think some up-and-coming golf people could be really cool. Like Akshay Bhatia could be pretty interesting.
That would be pretty interesting.
Right? And no reason outside of I just think it would be cool personally.
No, that's because he's Indian. That's why.
No, I mean, I think there's really cool ones, right? Like, I can't say Charlie Woods. I think Charlie's going to follow his dad's legacy.
That would be pretty cool, but that probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah, but I think there's some cool, I mean, even outside of golf, like I think the up-and-coming, maybe people within the Under Armour circuit on Steph Curry has a camp for basketball players, for elite basketball players in high school. Is there a world where he ends up taking those top talent to go sign a Li-Ning? Probably.
So I was thinking, what about AJ DeMonza, right? Because like he probably wants like mass exposure. At the same time, like it's highly competitive in the US, like we were saying before, why Curry decided not to go with something else. I think that they would invest a lot of resources for athletes that are signing. You're an up-and-coming rookie. I think the market that he's probably going to be in is Utah, which is probably not going to be, that's not the best market to be in, especially if like building out a massive brand. I mean, just the reality, but I still think you still definitely can, right? I mean, you have John Stockton, Karl Malone at the same time, Donovan Mitchell. I think Utah.
Crazy straight towards Utah.
No, Utah's a great state. I'm just saying, like,
you've never even been.
I've never been, but I've heard it's beautiful. I've actually heard the mountains are beautiful. If you're big into skiing, Utah is amazing.
We should go sometime.
And their owner's world class, Ryan Smith. But what I'm saying is that the state overall, it's not a coastal city, right? Like coastal city, you're able to get mass expansion. You get more media presence overall. And I think that if you want to make a big play here, you can just go and say, hey, I'm just going to go global, right? And then work with Li-Ning and the Curry brand. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree. Sorry, it was just like you trying to explain and justify the Utah thing was hilarious. But no, I completely agree with you.
Like it would be cool. That would be cool.
It would be.
But he'll probably sign with Nike or Jordan. That's just kind of like how it works.
So I actually do think that this is obviously just hypotheticals here. I actually do think Nike would have given him a lifetime deal. Nike has lifetime deals with Jordan, obviously, and that's making $130 million in royalties per year. LeBron has a lifetime deal supposedly worth $1 billion. Cristiano Ronaldo has a lifetime deal with Nike worth a reported $1 billion. Yeah, that's a nice C right there. But no, I mean, Kevin Durant just recently got one. He had a $300 million deal. I think he could have gotten the price tag that he wanted. I don't think it was just about the price tag, though.
Yeah. He wants to be a builder.
He wants to be a builder, which I love. We love that.
Yeah.
Cool. Moving on to the cultural sports headline of the week. Luka Dončić, the 27-year-old NBA superstar for the Los Angeles Lakers, just bought a basketball team in Italy with former Mavs exec Donnie Nelson. They just led
the guy who drafted him.
The guy that drafted
the guy who traded for him. The Hawks drafted him.
He's rocking with the guy that rocked, that
rocked with him.
Yeah,
that bet on him. Yeah,
that invested in him. They just led a group that acquired Vanoli Cremona, a Serie A basketball team. They're moving the interesting part though is that they're moving the whole team 350 miles away, closer to Rome.
Yeah, they're going south. They're going south.
Cremona is in northern Italy, about 60 miles from Milan, and they're moving that towards Rome. And they're using it as a Trojan horse, actually, to make a Rome team bid for NBA Europe's upcoming league that's going to happen starting in October 2027. I think this is super fascinating. This isn't definitely the cultural zeitgeist, so I thought we had to include it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of a weird situation because, for a little bit of background, the NBA is launching a European league. And
we've covered this multiple times.
We've covered this multiple times. So just give the rundown. I believe it's 12 teams. They're working with FIBA right now. They're trying to broker a deal with EuroLeague right now. Actually, EuroLeague's CEO, Chus Bueno, Pablo, correct me if I'm wrong if that's how you're supposed to say it.
Producer Pablo, you're just going to have to come in and
just like
correct us. Don't wait until
correct us because basketball is going global, y'all. So I gotta get
You're
sharp
start
on
getting
the names.
clipped in the comments.
I know.
Man.
I always get clipped in the comments when I said
mispronouncing stuff.
What I said, Dagenham instead of Dagenham. Anyway, so Chus Bueno.
Was that Kawhi's laugh?
It's a new sound.
Yeah, we're getting creative. We're unlocking a new sound effect every time. I love it.
I haven't heard that one yet, Pablo.
Me neither. That's good.
So Chus Bueno, he was formerly a VP for NBA's European division. Obviously, they're trying to grow the sport globally, but now he's at EuroLeague, and so they're trying to broker a deal where they can get top EuroLeague teams into NBA Europe. So that's like a cool thing that's going on right now. It's set to debut, I believe, October of 2027.
Yep.
And Mark Tatum has just confirmed that. He's the deputy commissioner of the NBA. So what's really interesting is that bids are closing in about a month. So we're going to find out if Luka and Donnie can actually get the bid go through and get the Rome team.
So the goal is basically to make a bid for the Rome team. There was an existing basketball team there. They bought this team. They want to move it, and this is kind of the infrastructure to
and they have to move it to Rome because the NBA Europe specifically is more interested in choosing a marquee division.
Yeah.
Or a marquee city. So in that case, like you probably couldn't stay in Vanoli. You have to go to Rome. I also think what's really interesting is that this would be the first time that technically a player could own an NBA team asset. And if you just a little bit of like background about NBA Europe's ownership, technically all 30 owners have a stake in NBA Europe as a property, right?
All existing owners.
All the existing owners. So technically he could be like co-owners of NBA Europe with Mark Walters, who's the owner of the Lakers. Super interesting. And actually during All-Star Weekend, Adam Silver was talking about this. He was like, look, we're like looking into like whether it makes sense for athletes to be like owners in NBA Europe, but I think they're going to go with it because they know it's going to be great for their brand overall. I mean, you look at the past 7-8 MVPs, they've all been, out of country, right?
Yeah.
It's been like Shea, Wemby, Jokic, and obviously Giannis.
Yeah.
Luka's huge. So it's great for their brand. It's great for exposure. And so, I mean, Luka's super excited, and he really wants to work with EuroLeague because he came out of the EuroLeague system playing at Real Madrid.
I mean, Steph Curry recently also came out and had some criticism saying that these players aren't getting paid enough. These NBA like supermax players, right, and just in general, just making millions of dollars, aren't getting paid enough because they don't have equity in what they're building, which I think was an interesting take.
Which is interesting because he's a big golfer and he's seeing the PGA Tour who are actually giving equity options for their players.
So I actually agree with you that I believe they will make a way and allow it so that current NBA players will be able to co-own teams, at least in some capacity, maybe even minority stakes, right?
Yeah, it could be like a 2%, like 2%, like stock. I mean, this would be like extremely complicated. You also have to see like does it make sense when they get traded? Like they're gonna have ownership, and I think it's got to be like lifelong players, like the super max players that like will stick with they'll stick with the team because they have equity in a team. It's actually kind of smart.
Or they get equity once they retire, similar to David Beckham and how he got his Inter Miami.
And I could be wrong, but I think Messi has some sort of ownership into Inter Miami.
He does. And I don't know if it's after he retires or he currently has a stake in the franchise. But regardless, I definitely think Jokic and Giannis for sure
should get involved.
Yeah. I think Wemby, but I think he's he's still young. I think he's still developing. Eventually, I think all of the major players that are coming out of Europe, I think definitely makes sense to go be ambassadors. It's a good look for them financially, but also a great look for the league office. It's like you're developing marquee players, you're bringing them through the system, you're migrating and attaching and unifying the leagues, even though they're separated by a body of water, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and Qatar, which owns PSG, Qatar Sports Investments, who owns PSG, they're making a bid for a Paris team, and it's going to be PSG branded. So maybe when Wemby is older, NBA Europe is fully solidified, he comes in as a minority owner. That'd be sick.
That would be really cool.
Moving on, guys.
Yeah.
I just had to verify the spelling, but it should be Chus Bueno.
Chus Bueno. Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of close.
You were close. That was good. Moving on to team and league news. A transaction rapid fire, so you chip in wherever you think. If not, we'll just keep it chugging. All right. First off, Nationwide Mutual Insurance has reached an agreement to buy a 37% stake in the MLS's Columbus Crew at a $900 million valuation, which is absolutely amazing and ridiculous just to read that headline. It's interesting because revenue was only $93 million last year for the team, and Columbus is one of the smallest metro areas for a MLS franchise. Roughly 930,000 people live there. So I think it's fascinating. And Nationwide Mutual Insurance was already the Crew's jersey and insurance partner since 2021. So now they're going from sponsor to owner, which I think is awesome. Anything to add there? You good?
I think they're just investing more into the community. They want to have ownership into that. And what's crazy is they're willing to pay it at a massive premium. Sportico had them at an $800 million valuation. They're buying at $900. So congrats to Columbus ownership and for
the Haslam Group.
And at the same time, Nationwide for investing more into their community. I think they have like 11,000 local employees. They've donated over $40 million to local charities in Columbus. So I like that they're investing back in their community.
This is awesome.
Ownership.
This is like the hometown corporation also supporting the hometown sports team. I think it's awesome. Which also Ohio as a whole, this is separate, but Travis Kelce just bought a stake in the
Cleveland Cavs.
Not
the Cleveland Cavs. Sorry,
Guardians.
The Guardians.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cultural, village building that's happening in Ohio. I love it. Okay, second, the richest woman in American philanthropy, worth $30 billion, the ex-wife of Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, Melinda French Gates, just bought into the NHL's Seattle Kraken as a minority investor. This is really cool. I wouldn't have expected it. It's cool to see the tech money coming into sports, but she's actually investing in One Roof Sports and Entertainment, not just the Kraken. So One Roof controls a stake in Climate Pledge Arena, which is the only NBA-ready building in Seattle, which could be foretelling of a Seattle Supersonics team or a Seattle basketball NBA team coming back to the city. The Kraken Community Iceplex, the new Memorial Stadium at Seattle Center, the AHL's Coachella Valley Firebirds, as well as the corresponding arena and One Roof Foundation. So she's joining the ownership group of managing partner Samantha Holloway, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, and producer Jerry Bruckheimer, who's the guy who produced Top Gun, by the way, which I thought was pretty cool.
And also, shout out Accurately Sports. They are also co-owners. Ted, you're the man. Co-owners of Seattle Kraken. Mm-hmm. And actually, there was recent news that we covered that we highlighted in our newsletter. Samantha Holloway has already hired JPM and Moelis to advise on a potential Seattle NBA expansion franchise. So this could just be the in for Melinda Gates to be involved with the NBA franchise that could be in Seattle.
And the fact that they already own the only arena within Seattle that can actually house and operate an NBA team.
It's a good pitch.
I believe they might be the Seattle front runner for this, but
We'll see. There's always a dark horse that ends up entering the race.
It's also really cool to highlight the women in ownership. So Melinda French Gates and Holloway now are a rare female-led consortium, which I think is really awesome for female sports owner or just ownership in general. But we'll see. We'll see how that all turns out. Third, quickly, the Miami Marlins, the least valuable team in the MLB, ranking last in the valuations of NBA franchises, sold 15 MLB franchises, just sold about 15% of their team for $1.55 billion. The stated purpose was to basically pay down debt, also suggesting a cushioning for when the player, a potential salary floor for MLB players to rise in 2027.
Which I believe is around $171 million that's being proposed in the new CBA.
Yeah. The 2025 attendance, they were the third lowest in the MLB. They had roughly 11,700, maybe 12,000 fans per game, which was barely ahead of the A's in the minor league, which is pretty interesting. I want to look into more of these attendance.
Yeah,
stuff,
they're in a marquee spot. I think the we don't know who's buying in. Apparently, they're a Florida residency. That's all we know, based on I think it was a Sportico article.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I will say is that they're buying in during like a tumultuous CBA negotiations where they're trying to institute a salary cap, and at the same time, the MLB league and commissioner Manfred's super interested in nationalizing local revenue because they had a major collapse in RSNs when Main Street collapsed, and because of that, I think it was around 20 teams lost their local RSN. Which, if you guys don't know, or if you guys don't know about this, MLB is actually also very much get a lot of revenue from their local channels compared to any other league. So they're trying to nationalize it, which would be great for valuations for a team like Miami Marlins, because now you get a bigger piece of the pie from like the Yankees and the Dodgers and the amount of money that they're churning in from their local RSN. And then at the same time, you have a hard cap or salary cap where now ownership groups have to spend more and more. And so that means better players, at the same time brings the fans in. I think overall will be better for valuation. So it's an interesting time to buy in. If the CBA goes through that the leagues and team owners want, I think that you'll see a bigger valuation boost for MLB teams long term.
Yeah. So it's interesting. The current ownership group for the Miami Marlins bought in at $1.2 billion in 2017, I believe. And now they're exiting, or they have partial sale for $1.5 billion in 2026, which is roughly, 17 to 30%.
But only a 3% annualized return, which is really low compared. Like S&P is what, like 10 to 12%.
Yeah, so I was just about to say, like 17 to 29% nominal over 8.5 years. You just said this 2 to 3% compound annual growth rate, and during that exact same time, the S&P 500 more than doubled.
Yeah, which is crazy. And at the same time, other league like NBA, NFL teams, like some of them have also doubled, more than doubled as well. So
it's not. This is kind of like an anti-case for you can't just have an investment strategy of buying into a team and holding it and saying it's a marquee trophy asset and just letting the valuation
you have to significantly invest. I think that there's some form
and operate.
Operate mixed use real estate investment. At the same time, they have extremely low payroll. So I think like with the cap, and with the hard floor, they're gonna have to invest more, spend more, and I think they'll bring their fans in as they potentially start winning.
I completely agree. We flew through that, which I love. Moving on to sports real estate news, also another rapid fire. You plug in wherever you think makes sense. Dallas Mavericks, the first team on the docket. The Mavericks just announced they're entered an options agreement to potentially purchase 104 acres at the former Valley View Mall site in northern Dallas. It's about 12 miles away from where they're currently playing, but still inside Dallas city limits, so a little bit more suburban if I'm thinking about this correctly. The goal is to move there for the 2031 season when the American Airlines Center lease expires. And this effectively ends speculation that the Adelson family, the Dumont families, who are the owners of who run Sands Casinos Empire, were planning to move this team to Las Vegas. I heard about this. I was looking into it. I love the conspiracy theories, but cool that they're staying in Dallas, or at least looking.
They should. Yeah. I mean, Dallas is a great city. Great sports culture. I think people were a little bit upset. I would say like certain business leaders in Dallas that it's not in the city, but I think that we've seen this before. Atlanta Braves did this where they essentially moved.
Yep.
The Battery is in a suburb of Georgia.
Cobb County.
It's in Cobb County. It's not in the heart of the city. And, there was I was super young at the time when it happened, but I guarantee you there was a lot of local debate about it. It's like, hey, should we move it out of the city? And it turned out to be one of the best investments that we've ever seen in sports real estate. And we know their experience with building casino empires, they can build a massive district here given the amount of space that they have at Valley View.
Yeah. Moving on, Denver Broncos just finalized a formal sale agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation to buy Burnham Yard. The agreement was for around $46 million for roughly 58 acres. They want to buy close to 150 acres, if that's right, so they still have to make some purchases. But the total project cost is undisclosed, but estimated to be around $4 billion by the Denver Post. It's supposed to have a retractable roof, natural grass, construction starting in 2027, targeting 2031 open, when the current lease for Empower Field runs through 2030.
Yeah, it's actually, I saw something that Colorado Department of Transportation, they had bought, or Colorado government, they bought that land for $50 million.
So they took a loss on it.
Yeah, and they took a loss. $48.5 million is what the Broncos
45.8, I believe.
Or 45.8. 45.8.
Yep.
And so I think they're probably like, hey, look, like they're about to bring so much dollars to from the amount of sales that they're gonna have at the same time, like the amount of jobs that's gonna come in for constructing this. At the same time, private companies just move a lot faster than public departments when it comes to development. So I think that they were like, hey, look, we could take a loss on this, but probably tax revenue long term, you're gonna make a big gain.
Yeah. Lastly, quick update for the Chicago Bears, which we covered last week, right? So they were in a debacle of were they going to stay in Illinois or are the Chicago Bears moving to Indiana right across the border? So still close to fans currently, but they had a tax deal that they were trying to get through the Illinois, legislature, and it did not go through this past week. So now, essentially, the Chicago Bears are saying Indiana has offered tax breaks for up to $1 billion, I believe.
Yeah.
And Illinois, where they're currently playing, they haven't figured out a solution yet. So they've said, we're going to wait to assess this until this summer, who we're going to go with. So I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to find out pretty soon.
Yeah.
And if they can't get this bill passed, there's a good chance that
it's
they're
going to Indiana. Well, we talked about this last week. Good thing is it's still close to the border.
Very close to the city, yeah.
But it's still revenue that's not going to...
Yeah, it's tax revenue that could be going to Illinois.
Exactly. In the world of M&A and major investments, sports cards and the sports card trading market just got their first roll-up in the industry. Maybe not their first, but one major one. CardsHQ and Sports Card Investor merged into a single company operating as CardsHQ alongside a strategic growth investment led by Shamrock Capital and N1 Ventures, both co-investing. They're based in Atlanta, so shout out to them. We've shouted out Shamrock Capital 2 weeks ago, I believe, in a new fund alert, and then N1 Ventures even fewer weeks prior to that in another new fund alert. So crazy to see that these funds are raising and then deploying pretty quickly.
Yeah, Shamrock, Shamrock's strategy that we talked about previously was more about buying content IP.
Right.
This, I think, is going to come from their traditional investing arm. N1, which is super interesting. It's a partnership between Intrust, which is an alternative assets firm. Basically, they're an investment firm that doesn't just buy public stocks. And so they teamed up together to build out a private equity firm that's buying into sports, media, and entertainment. And so I was actually looking into this. I think it makes a lot of sense. With one team, they've had previous investments in the collectible space, actually Fanatics Collectibles, which made sense because they have strong connections with the players associations. And so Fanatics wants that as a strategic asset for them.
Pretty interesting relationship on that Fanatics front. Just to touch that point, Fanatics also invested into N1 Ventures.
Yeah, they're a big
as a
LP.
limited partner.
Yeah.
So, they're supporting the ecosystem, see a bunch of synergies there. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so what I find this really fascinating, if people don't really know what Sports Card Investor is or CardHQ, it was all started by Jeff Wilson. The Sports Cards Investor is really like the media play. He actually has a huge YouTube following, 450,000 subscribers actually.
If you want to get into sports cards investing and just the business of that, I highly recommend checking him out. That's how I got into kind of learning about this space.
Yeah,
as
he has
well.
like an hour and a half video of like,
Breaks
hey,
it down.
if you're a complete beginner and you want to get into collectibles, this is what you should.
Wait, doesn't he have a book?
He has a book. It's
Sports
like,
card
it's like
investing for dummies or something.
Yeah, it's like, so this guy is like, he is a diehard collectibles fan and he's building the media platform for it. But what I love about it is that it's for the diehard fans, but it's also for everyone who's just trying to get into the collectible space. So it's kind of like hand holding you to become a true collectibles investor, pack ripper, you know, just overall collector. And so I think that's really smart. Paired up with, he also has this he also has launched Market Movers, which is part of Sports Card Investors.
Yep.
And so this actually tracks the prices for a lot of these major.
It's an app,
TCG.
right?
Yeah, it's an app. It also has a web platform or web app as well.
You can see the market moves similar to like a Robinhood for stocks, but you can see that for trading cards essentially. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. So you can understand the valuation or the value of the cards.
Chart
that you've
price
been buying.
trends over time, all that stuff.
Exactly. Cool. And then CardHQ is like bringing this all together in a real-time space. It's a physical brick and mortar extension of Sports Card Investors. 14,000 square feet shop in Atlanta, Georgia, like you were saying. They offer live auctions, online participation, card breaks, in-store events, and you can watch Sports Card Investors videos being filmed there because they moved their studio into CardsHQ. So I think you're just building this like media platform X. We're going to sell cards and live auctions and products through it. At the same time, the investors are backed by Fanatics, who, let's be real, has been running the collectible space given the amount of licensing that they've had.
And we've covered them extensively, right? We've been following their entire journey. So I think it's awesome.
So one question that I have for you on this. Yeah. Do you think that, you know, Fanatics is kind of involved here? Do you think that there's a way that they can collaborate, or is there any synergies between Fanatics and this new CardHQ holdco?
I don't know for sure, but there's blaring synergies, right? One, obviously, to be a licensed retailer. I don't even know if there already are. Fanatics collect and live. Fanatics has a live and digital collectibles entire strategy and product and team that they're building. They have been building. It's been wildly successful. I think this is a natural extension of that. Could be a potential acquisition down the line because we saw, you know, Topps get bought for north of $500 million just in 2022, a few years ago. I think they definitely need to expand. I don't think just one footprint and one location.
It's in London, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Fanatics has one marquee brick and mortar location for trading cards in London, but I don't think CardsHQ just having one location is enough.
Which is why they took the capital. They want growth. They took in growth capital to expand their retail footprint.
Yeah, so it's actually funny. The 14,000 square foot CardsHQ physical location is near the Braves Stadium at Truist Park. Awesome. So I think it's awesome in the Battery.
So I think there could be a clear synergy with Fanatic Studios and Sports Cards Investors, right? Like Fanatic Studios,
you were telling me about
mainly
this
just about sports, but like one thing that we've talked about, and we wrote a newsletter on this, is there synergies in regards to how can Fanatic Studios produce organic content that naturally is marketing their core key products, and one of them is collectibles. And so Jeff Wilson is the master at that. I think that there's an opportunity there. At the same time, if Fanatics Collectibles is interesting expanding in retail, then this would be a prime opportunity to either collaborate or, you know, maybe there's a potential acquisition down the line. Who knows?
Yeah, and we also wrote a newsletter on the state of the union on the collectibles industry, and we basically said this next generation of growth is driven through digital pack rippings and the digitization of the physical trading cards, and they're leaning into that, right? Not necessarily digital stuff, but you have the app, you have live streams, pack rippings. This is awesome for the ecosystem.
I still think live experiences is going to be huge in the
100%.
Like,
I mean,
people want
card shows are huge.
They want to go and see the card in person and open the pack.
100%. I mean, we're even looking forward to Fanatics Fest later, you know, in a few weeks.
But I've actually never been, so I'm super pumped.
And I went 2 for 2. I used to work the last two, like I was saying. Right? So this will be the first time where I'm actually enjoying it as a fan. But I think this is really cool. Just last point, that Jeff Wilson owns both of these businesses and he formally has like merged them, which I think is awesome and brought on investment. So shout out to Jeff Wilson and the team over there. I think that's awesome. Looking forward to covering the growth. Moving on to our segment that most people have been loving, the new fund alert.
New fund alert.
New fund. You have to sing. You have to say it along. I feel like you have to distort your voice.
New fund.
Yeah, I think
that's a pretty good one, right? Pablo, what do you think about that? That was good?
So, new fund alert, Ghost Angels this week. They're a group of 20 Snapchat employee alumni that launched an angel fund, obviously called Ghost Angels because of the Ghost logo.
Yeah.
Right? And they're backing pre-seed AI startups in social media and consumer. So not exactly sports, but they do cover a tiny bit of sports.
The TechCrunch article did highlight sports.
They did highlight sports. So who started it? It's a gentleman named Max Rivera. He was the former head of global partnerships at Snap, who then founded in 2025 this, syndicate's not the right word, but this entity, and to formalize an already growing Snapchat alumni angel investing community.
Yeah.
He currently works at Microsoft's AI division. Basically, he's saying that he's backing AI native formats and generative creative tools across different types of media, including music to gaming to fashion. So hence our new fund alert. And he's deployed into at least 5 companies and plans to invest in up to 15 more companies over the next year. Undisclosed amount fund size, but hey, it's still kind of a sports fund. We're gonna count it, right?
And they said they're gonna invest in. They've already backed 5 companies that are investing in up to 15.
You had a cool one that you shouted out, which is a portfolio company.
This is the only portfolio company that I know because it was mentioned in the article. It's called Mozi, M-O-Z-I. Mozi. It looked pretty cool. It was essentially like you could tell like all of your like close friends immediately, like, hey, I'm going to this spot, or like these are my plans for like the next couple of weeks. And so it's like really good if like you live in a city like New York, right? And you want to know what your friends are doing. Like, yeah, you can have like Find My and like have their location, but it's like, it's really an invitation to invite people to come. And I think that type of engagement doesn't really exist anymore, right? Like, it's interesting. We'll see if like that product does well, but I think that's like pretty cool. Like I would use it.
That company was co-founded by Molly DeWolf Swenson and Twitter and Medium co-founder Ev Williams.
Really?
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's Twitter and Medium.
It feels like more personal social media. Like, I mean, let's be real. Like Instagram.
This guy has gone 2 for 2, or this person has gone 2 for 2. Might as well go
for this one. Yeah.
I love it. Well, shout out to them. Looking forward to seeing what they do in sports and entertainment. Moving on to the emerging league news section. You pointed this out, so I want to pass this to you after I just intro it really quickly.
This caught my eye because, we recently had a segment where I talked about KSI buying a minority stake in Dagenham and Redbridge and how he was live streaming and how it's kind of like the Ryan Reynolds model.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Reynolds, he strikes again.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, actually Deadpool and Wolverine, if you haven't seen the movie, great movie. They're reuniting for a Disney Plus docuseries about an Australian sailing team that they own. The Bonds Flying Ruse. It's actually a SailGP team, which is essentially the F1 for sailing. They're high-tech, high-speed, 50 feet foiling yachts being raced at over 60-plus miles per hour. Larry Ellison is actually involved. He was one of the original backers of SailGP, and now it's coming into a docuseries format, similar to what Ryan Reynolds has been famous for with his production company Maximum Effort. Welcome to Wrexham. And we saw the rise of Wrexham AFC. Obviously, they took a massive strategic investment from Apollo Sports Capital. It ended up turning out wildly successful. And not only that, because of Wrexham's success, right? They went from around a fifth division team or league. And then now they're on the precipice of getting to the Premier League. They're currently in second division, the Championship League in the UK football system. And so now they're bringing that type of angle into sailing. And what I find is that really is exciting is because SailGP, it's got that luxury allure. It's very unique in its own way. And at the same time, boating in of itself is something that's like sexy, but a lot of people don't really know about. And at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of storylines to be told here. No one really knows the backgrounds of these sailors, right? These premiums, hotshot of sailors. Actually, the Bond Flying Ruse, their CEO, Tom Slingsby, he's former gold medalist, America's Cup winner. America's Cup was actually the original sailing league until SailGP came and is kind of, taking the boating world by storm. And he's also a 3-time SailGP champion. And I think that there's a really interesting story to be told about what this could mean for the sailors involved, at the same time, what it means to compete. There's a lot of unique ownership groups in SailGP overall that's worldwide. So you have teams in Rome, you have teams in the US, you have teams, South America. I believe Brazil might have a team. And so it's going to be this international competition with a lot of celebrities and investors involved. And so you're going to see that type of competition from the celebrity owners as well. And they're having a major debut they're debuting in Rome for the first time in 2027. I believe it's going to be like a full-blown festival, true experience. I think that could be.
You were just at the New York event too. You met the US SailGP team.
Yeah, so I did meet the US SailGP co-owner. I met both the co-owners, Ryan and Mike. Shout out to Ryan and Mike. You guys are crushing it. And because they had a race in New York this past weekend. And the event
Which I believe the Flying Ruse won.
They won that. Yeah.
They won that event.
And so, I mean, they're highly successful team. And at the same time, how do you keep that dominance and showcase SailGP and what that league is about through the docuseries?
The simple playbook, by the way, right, is the Ryan Reynolds Wrexham model is you find a team, a sports team with a niche following or a following that doesn't have huge eyeballs, attach a camera and do what he does really well, which is storytelling, and then you sell that story. And this is the playbook of how you increase valuation, because not only do you create some media flywheel to it, you have a installed base of fans that come to support because they're bought into the story. I think this is the playbook. I think we skipped over this part briefly, but Disney Plus greenlit the docuseries with the exact same producers as the Wrexham folks.
Yeah, because Rob Mack's going to be involved too. Yep. He was also a co-owner of Wrexham. He has his own production company, More Better, and he's also an executive producer too.
So this is not some new team that they're putting together for this. This is the same people. They know the playbook. I think this is awesome. I'm going to have to predict that there's going to be a mega private equity firm that ends up coming in a few years to actually take a stake in their team because
the valuation spike, because they know the model. And I think this is great for SailGP overall too, because everyone's going to get exposure into the other SailGP teams. They're going to understand the competition. They're going to understand the viewing experience and what this means. And while it's focused on one team, it could have like a Drive to Survive spillover where you understand other storylines of other sailors, other SailGP teams as well.
Yeah, I agree. Just to close this out, SailGP's revenue topped $200 million last year, and that was up 68% year over year. The team ladder valuations in 2019, the teams were selling for $5 to $10 million. They went up to $35 million in 2023 with Mark Lazzary's Avenue Sports Capital fund buying into a team in Italy, the Italian team, or not the Italian team, but the Italian team sold for $45 million to Anne Hathaway's back consortium last year, and then
Anne Hathaway versus Ryan Reynolds. That could be it's gonna be a fun competition, you know.
And now some public reports are saying that evaluations are going to hit $100 million for team sales, team stake sales, by the end of this year. So it just keeps crushing. And then the average race has about 18 million global viewers. Kind of cool. So there's an audience here,
and it's like a high luxury audience. Like the way that I
did you see any cool sponsors, by the way, when you were at the event?
So it was
is Rolex a sponsor?
Rolex is the primary league sponsor. Yeah. I didn't go to the actual race. I went to just like a fun event. I think the Weather Channel, and it was Weather Channel X, US SailGP. But what was really cool is that the people that go into like the VIP viewing experience, it's literally like F1, where it's like these business leaders, investors, had a major funds, big businesses. They actually are like, you literally have deals being broken there. It's like wild.
Interesting. Very cool. Give us the industry spotlight.
Yes, I have a fun industry spotlight. So
run through this one.
Yeah. We've been seeing some cool sports AI products in the mix. That's been like a huge thing, where it's like, hey, how can we build more consumer tech products at scale, but that's focused on sports, and that is all being built at the inaugural Snapback Sports Summer Internship Program.
Shout out our guy, Jack Settleman.
Jack Settleman, founder of Snapback Sports. It's primarily a media company, Barstool-esque, if you guys aren't familiar, but they're very big. They have a huge presence on YouTube and on Instagram, but at the same time, they're now trying to build out tech products. And so one of them is Snapback Sports Trivia, which is essentially a trivia app on your phone that's purely dedicated in sports, and the app has been crushing. And a lot of it also has to be built on the fact that they have distribution through their media company. And so Jack was actually telling us, last time that we spoke face to face, he was essentially explaining that, look, distribution and attention is the most important thing now. And now that it's so much easier to build tech products with, vibe coding becoming such a big thing, if you have the distribution, you can build the consumer products at scale. And so he built out this summer internship program, 9 weeks long, 7 college interns in New York City who are all going to help Snapback build some cool AI products from trivia games to internal tools, while also documenting their journey through social media, Snapback interns. And actually, funny enough, one of their videos, we've been watching their videos, they're kind of hilarious. And I think at some point, the interns are going to take control of the social media account. So we'll be seeing I think they might have already done it. But they've already hit 8.1 million views on one Instagram reel.
That was hilarious.
And it was kind of hilarious. It was literally like, hey, Jack was saying, hey, I'm told all the interns to come in at 10 a.m. But in reality, if you're an intern, you want to make a good impression on the first day, you should be coming in around like 9:15, 9:30. And so they were seeing all the interns trickling in. So I'm going to shout all the interns out because I think they deserve it. Only one person is going to get the full-time job.
Okay.
But I think this will be...
It's like Hunger Games.
It's like Hunger Games, but they're all kind of like teammates, you know? Like,
it's cool.
At the end of the day, even if you don't get it, you've built a massive platform for yourself. People are going to know you after this summer. And at the same time, you have real experience that you can show to future employers, or you can have experience in building a company for yourself. So shout out Robbie Busser, Aaron Bernstein, Ahmed Bala, Isaac Braverman, Omar Aviram, and Jacob Rosenfeld. So shout out to you guys.
And this guy.
Oh, and Akash Satish. Shout out to you guys.
I
almost left out Akash. Yeah, but shout out to you guys. You guys are crushing it.
Yeah, congrats, guys. Excited to see the content. And best of luck to the best man who wins may the best man win the job.
Yeah, may the best man win.
Love it. All right, moving on to Startups Technology. Pretty cool one. I'm going to fly through this as well. Pretty viral tweet that went crazy, exploded on X this past week. It was a guy running through his neighborhood racing a glowing ghost of himself, collecting coins, sprint zones, a little leaderboard, all displayed through his Meta Ray-Bans display. So a solo developer named Stijn Spanhov. I definitely didn't say his name properly. Stijn Spanhov. Producer Pablo, you're gonna have to tell me how to say that. Spanhov.
I don't think I can help you there. But
Yeah.
by next show we'll get it.
But this is one of the coolest things in tech that we've seen. So shout out to him. Basically, vibe coded and solo developed in a weekend, using Strava's MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol. Essentially, taking Strava's data, you can plug it. You can basically stitch data from Strava into Claude, and you can build stuff and build some cool products. And he built this racing your own game while you're racing.
Like it's like racing
running
your own ghost. Like
Yeah.
you've already ran that route, and at the same time, it's like already tracks it and like your pace.
It's like
and at the digitized. So it's like
the running experience.
Oh shoot! Like I can see that like my ghost is ahead of me right now. Like I need to run. And I think that there's so much social dynamics that you can make from this.
100%.
Right? You can compete with other
there's
people.
There's leaderboards, right? So like
Yeah.
you versus me versus producer Pablo, run different routes. You know, there's different. Maybe even add like Super Mario-esque like things and traps and stuff digitally that you can see. You can really gamify this experience. Obviously, you've seen some higher class gyms, some of this visual, like on treadmills, you can walk through various cities and stuff. I think this is awesome. And it's interesting because Strava is on the verge of an IPO. They filed recently to go public. They hit a $2 billion valuation, but I think it's awesome. And the developer community, I didn't know Strava even had a developer community, but the developer community grew from 185,000 to 241,000 year over year.
Wow.
Developers.
So a lot of people are trying to like they're essentially trying to build like gaming products in a sense.
Not
or,
even
like,
gaming,
not
but
gaming,
like
like optimization.
Yeah. They're just
through
playing
Strava
around with
data.
Strava's data, which I think is
really cool. Strava obviously has like major network effects. You can leverage it. You know, it'd be cool. It's like, you know how like Pokemon Go is a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, what if that could be the case, but it was running?
That would be so cool.
The only thing that's the bottleneck is everyone's gonna have to have Ray-Ban. Or the Meta Ray-Bans, right? Or
This is why Meta should get involved.
They should get involved, yeah.
They should do this, do an IP deal with Pokemon. I think this can actually
Oh, that would be
set some,
crazy.
Yeah, and Zuck and Meta's team, they're doing a bunch. They've been obviously in the AI space, but they've been doing a bunch of corp dev M&A plays and acquisitions, right? You had Maltbook, you had Manus AI. You've had a bunch of plays. Obviously Scale AI. I think this could be a really interesting consumer play.
it could be a really interesting consumer play. But they just seem so focused on AI, like building their LLM and their foundational model, and like compete with the big guys like OpenAI and Claude. I don't know if they're gonna do it. I hope they do though, because that would be really, really cool. But everyone's gonna have to have Ray-Ban glasses.
Didn't OpenAI buy the guy or acquire OpenClaw and the guy that created OpenClaw?
Yeah, they did.
So they're acquiring talent. They're doing acquisitions to acquire talent too. So
yeah, OpenAI did.
OpenAI.
Yeah.
I'm just saying now there's an AI war that's happening.
Yeah,
right?
it's true. It's true.
Very cool.
I'm gonna take my best shot at this, but I think it's pronounced Stain Spanhova.
Say it one more time.
Stain Spanhova.
Stain Spanhova. I hope that's right, because I might have butchered. We might have butchered it twice. But shout out to Stain Spanhova. I think this is awesome, man. Would love to see more, and excited to see what else you build in the future. And we'll cover it for sure.
All right, we ready for? Is class going to be in session?
Not yet. You're getting ahead of yourself. We have two. I'll fly through it pretty quickly. We have a short collectible section, and then we have just an update on FIFA in India, and then
awesome.
I'll give it to you, Professor Paramount. There's so many P's that's around here. All right, quick story. I'm just gonna fly through it just because it just happened in the news. We have one singular story for the world of collectibles. Shedeur Sanders just broke a collectibles licensing deal. The Cleveland Browns quarterback earned roughly $17.7 million in group licensing income last season, shattered the previous record, nearly doubling Tom Brady's $9.5 million in group licensing income from the 2021-2022 season. Wild. For context, group licensing covers deals that include 6 or more players, the most typical of which jerseys, trading cards, video games, and other collectibles, which I think is awesome. Shedeur, by the way, his Browns contract is paying him $1 million per year over 4 years, which is he signed a $4.6 million rookie deal, which is wild. He was the 144th overall draft pick in the 5th round for the 2025 draft, and now he's receiving nearly 17 times that.
He was smart building such a strong personal brand for himself in college.
That's
and now
the future, right?
Yeah, that's the future with NIL and the ability to do that. Like, even if you aren't as successful in the NFL, and we'll see, Shedeur still has a potential to be a great NFL player, but you can already make a lot of money. That could run you for decades.
I agree. All right, really quickly, last update in partnership news. Last week we covered that FIFA and China were in a broadcast rights drama for a deal collision negotiation for the World Cup. They ended up FIFA wanted 300. They ended up settling for 60 million because China was basically were threatening a blackout that nobody in China was going to watch the World Cup. Similar thing was happening in India, and we didn't know if 1 billion people were going to see this in India, but they worked something out. Z Entertainment, I believe, one of the major media companies within India, they just signed a broadcasting deal for airing 39 FIFA events from 2026 to 2034. So it's awesome. It's going to 4 new linear channels under the Unite 8 sports brand, plus streaming on Z5. The official terms were not disclosed, but some estimates say the deal exceeds $40 million. FIFA's original ask was $100 million. So it's just kind of funny that FIFA keeps throwing out numbers, and these countries are like, no. Nah. Good sound effect.
But congrats to FIFA,
and India.
And India, everyone's going to be able to see the World Cup. So
yeah, it's awesome. And obviously we're just nerds about the numbers, so cool to see that. All right, Professor Paramanu,
is class in session?
The class is in session.
Is that what I'm hearing?
It's your time to shine.
All right, it's Professor Paramanu.
Teach me about prediction markets.
It's Professor Paramanu in the cut. Welcome to AP Prediction Markets. Today we're going to talk about a tweet that went viral this week. It was a tweet from a New York City bar, the Jeffrey. Come watch Game 1 of the NBA Finals at the Jeffrey on Wednesday. If the Knicks win, we'll pick up your tab. Offer valid during the game only for guests who arrive before the tip, up to $100 per guest. Tax and gratuity not included. Drink responsibly. No purchase necessary. Now here's the catch. They're hedging their full refund by placing a $5,000 prediction on Kalshi. And obviously we know the outcome. They ended up winning the payout, but Knicks were priced in at 36% chance of winning with a roughly $13,000 payout. So if they win, everyone gets free drinks, which they did. And maybe the most memorable night of their lives, which they did. And the owner makes $13,000 from his hedge, which he did. If the Knicks lose, he would have only been out $5,000, but he'd make a ton back more from the revenue. Insane promotion for his bar. This tweet went massively viral. I haven't got to see the videos yet, but I'm guessing that the people were waiting in line probably at like 6 p.m.
So, Professor Paramount, can you explain to me, if I'm the bar owner, right, I'm offering this promotion, if it's $5,000 in free drinks, is that right?
No, so $5,000 is being placed on a prediction that the Knicks are going to win. The payout is going to be $13,000. So you profit $8,000.
Okay.
At the same time, if that does happen, everyone is getting free drinks up to $100 in that same scenario.
Got it.
But it's hedged because even if you're losing out on free drinks, you're able to make that $8,000 from that bet.
I see.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So you're hedging, but at the same time, it's valuable marketing promotion because now everyone knows what the Jeffrey is. They have some of the greatest nights of their lives, especially if the Knicks win. And you don't have that much of a loss if the Knicks lose because a bunch of people are running up the tab, and so they're going to have to pay, right?
Smart.
If the Knicks lose.
Do you think this is, and you might be explaining this, you just sparked my curiosity. Do you think this is a new strategy that prediction markets can be doing with SMBs and small local businesses?
Yes, I do think so. And so this idea of hedging has actually been there for a while. It's placing a bet against something that you've already are betting on. You limit your losses while guaranteeing upside, and it's a way of de-risking the investment that you're making. So it's essentially a form of insurance. And like you said, actually Kalshi's origination, founders Tarek and Luana, I think during an interview was that they actually wanted to give investors other methods to hedge risk on outcomes. For example, if you were a bank that was long in the British pound, this is during the time when they were interning at a bank, and this is when Brexit was happening, and you know that Brexit was going to negatively impact the price of the pound, you could trade that Brexit would happen to limit your you could trade that Brexit would happen to limit your losses if Brexit actually did happen, right? So essentially, long on British pound, Brexit's going to hurt the pound. We'll bet that Brexit happens to limit my losses. And so that was their idea, and they're like, hey, what if we just built this out in a full-scale platform through predictions? And now small business owners have done it. And actually, the OG, we talked about this guy before, is Mattress Mac, real name Jim McInvale, who owns the Gallery Furniture chain in Houston. He's a savvy furniture salesman, but more importantly, he's a big-time sports bettor in Vegas. You might all know him as the guy who won a boatload of money betting on the Houston Astros to win the World Series in 2017. But it was really just a hedge on a furniture promotion. He actually promised customers up to $3,000 in refunds on their furniture purchases. So if the Astros win, he refunds customers, but makes a ton of money from his bet. And if the Astros lose, he sells a ton of furniture. And both times in 2017 and 2022, when this promotion happened, the customers got free furniture, and he won the biggest sports bets of his life, a win-win scenario. He made $75 million on that Astros title.
Was he lucky or was he smart?
I think he was both. I think lucky and smart because he hedged his bets, right? He knew that he could, he was essentially pooling both forms of, returns that he could potentially make through betting and furniture, and he pulled them together. And that's like a perfect way of hedging for some of these SMBs that can leverage local fandom. And so got to shout out our boy Drew Cousin at Cheers Cash.
Shout out Drew.
He was inspired by Mattress Mac, and he found that fandom can actually be leveraged to boost loyalty through certain predictions that you can make for, live events that are happening, sports, pop culture, whether it's voting on who's going to win Live Island, etc. And he's been teaming up with a lot of consumer brands where right out checkout, you can make a prediction on whether a sports team would win. And if that happens, you actually get a discount or, cash back to, come back to the store and buy something at a discount. And so it's been huge. He's been popping off. He actually has a big partnership with Card Vault. So
Tom Brady.
Just got to shout out Drew. He's one of our very early
and good friends here in the city.
Yeah, great friend. We host events with him all the time. Big time reader of our newsletter and also a big time supporter of the fourth quarter in general.
Shout out Drew. Shout out Cheers Cash. And I think this entire concept is awesome. It's cool to see it play out IRL.
Yeah,
and something that's relatable to us. I think Mattress Mac and mattresses. I'm not always shopping for a mattress, or most people aren't, right? But this is something that's, ingrained with sports and, especially the Knicks now. Right?
Yeah.
It's ingrained with the life here, daily life. So awesome to see that. Producer Pablo, thank you for your help today in pronunciation. Professor Paramanu, I think that was my favorite AP prediction markets, by the way. You were simple It was simple, straightforward, to the point, and I actually learned something.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, it can get a little bit complicated with AP prediction markets on a week-to-week basis, but I figured we could start with some of the fundamentals. And hedging is a super important concept to know. Not only, I mean, it's been used by sports bettors, way back when, but it's something that, a big financial tool that banks use, et cetera. And it's going to be leveraged even more through prediction markets by even these small businesses and these local bars. So it's really cool to see that unfold.
Amazing. Thanks for tuning in, and catch us next week.
Yeah.
See you later.
See ya.